Overthinking sucks. When it's at its worst, your thoughts can go round, right round like a record, and they can distract you from being able to think about things rationally in order to move forward. So in this episode, I'm sharing 7 ways to stop overthinking to help improve your mental health. If you're new here, hi and welcome to Better Mental Health. I'm Jeremy Godwin. Back in 2011, I had a major breakdown, and that led me to a period of quite severe anxiety and depression. And during that time, I couldn't find a lot of resources for dealing with my condition that were both straightforward and practical. So I went on a journey of learning more about my mental health, went back to university and studied psychology and sociology, and now I focus on delivering what I couldn't find. Simple advice on how to improve your mental well-being from someone who actually understands what it's like to go through mental health challenges. So today is all about overthinking, and my first tip is pause and breathe. Because when your emotions are heightened, as they usually are when you're dealing with excessive worry about the past or rumination over the future, you'll find that you're likely to be running on pure instinct. It's part of your body's response to danger. It's that fight, flight, or freeze response. So give yourself time for your rational mind to catch up to all of those feelings by pausing and breathing slowly for at least 10 seconds. A really simple technique to use to calm yourself is square breathing. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, exhale slowly for 4 counts, wait calmly for 4 counts, and then repeat that several times until you feel calmer. Okay, next, label it. And by this, I mean to be aware of the fact that you're in overthinking mode, because that helps you to be more conscious of what is happening. And that can help to remind you that you need to take your time instead of getting more panicked or just doing things without thinking. Whether it's the past or the future that we're overthinking about, or both, which happens a lot, it's negative energy that's being expended in our minds, and that can often send us on a downward spiral. In fact, quite often it starts off with a specific distressing thought, and then we can just spiral into lots of other negative thoughts. And then even the fact that we're overthinking can be another source of worry in and of itself. So we overthink about overthinking. So labeling it helps you to be more aware of what's going on. And that leads to my next point. Focus on what is within your direct control. Because like a lot of anxious thought patterns, overthinking can often be short-circuited by confronting that terrible C word that's responsible for so much self-inflicted suffering: control. We like to think that we have a lot of control over our lives, but the reality is that we only have control over ourselves, what we say and do, and what we choose to do with our feelings. So often when we're in overthinking mode, we might be stressing about something that is completely out of our control, like how other people might be perceiving us, or what may or may not happen. Or, that thing that happened months or years ago that can never be changed, not that that will stop your brain from overanalyzing it at 3 a.m. When that happens, we need to be blunt with ourselves, because sometimes you are just wasting energy on stuff that you have absolutely no control over. Okay, next, acknowledge it and accept it. If you're overthinking, don't pretend it's not happening. Face it head on. Acknowledge that you're in overthinking mode and accept it, and remember that it's happening because your mind is trying to protect you. It's just going a really weird way about it. Acknowledge that what is happening is a defense mechanism, accept it, and thank your mind for looking after you. Next, challenge your thoughts. Because thoughts are not facts, even though our brain likes to think that we know everything. We don't. Instead of just believing everything that you think, instead ask yourself these questions. What's a different way of looking at things? What are some other ways that you could come at the problem? What are some potential solutions? Just challenge yourself to look at things from a different angle. If it's really bad and you just cannot stop overthinking, short-circuit yourself out of it by putting yourself in a completely different setting. Go outside, go make a cup of coffee or tea, put on a TV show. If that doesn't work, go and throw yourself in the shower. Whatever you do, just do something to mentally and physically short-circuit yourself so that you can change your energy, and then breathe through it so that you can calm your mind. Speaking of, my next point is allow yourself to run out of steam if you need to. If you're overthinking and it really just will not stop, sometimes you need to let that overthinking energy out of your system. Find someone to talk to, or even better, grab a pen and paper and write it down, and just keep on writing and writing until you run out of energy, and then take a break somewhere else. If you're a more structured person, you might find it helpful to set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and just allow yourself that time to get out all of the worry and concerns in your mind before you then push yourself into problem-solving mode. And just a quick side note here, if you do have someone to talk to, but you don't want them to see you in this state, that's totally understandable because this is pretty vulnerable stuff. But I do challenge you to push past that and talk to someone supportive if you can. Nothing quite matches the sensation of feeling truly heard and understood. And it's not going to fix everything immediately, but it will make you feel just a little less manic if you're in serious overthinking territory. All right, next, look for solutions. Once you've run out of steam and you've been breathing and you feel a little bit calmer, now you need to assess what you've been overthinking about in order to determine whether or not it's in your power to change the situation. So, can you change it? If so, change it. If not, accept it or let it go. This point pretty much applies to everything in life. If it's within your control, do something about it. If it's out of your control, all you can do is change your approach, your mindset, or your actions, or all of the above. And then once you've dealt with the overthinking session, think about what the lesson is for the future. When you're in a much better headspace, it's time to reflect on what triggered that overthinking, and do this later on, much later on, but think about what you can learn from the experience. Is there something that you could do differently? Is there a specific trigger that you need to be aware of? Do you need support from either loved ones or a professional to work through issues that push you into that place, or to help you work through stuff that you need to let go of? Whatever the lesson might be, identify it and learn it. Because when you're in the middle of overthinking, it might feel like you have no control, but in fact, you can choose to do things that will help you to better manage it in the future. The choice is yours, as it is with all things related to your well-being. So what choice will you make today? Let me know in the comments below. And since overthinking can often go hand in hand with anxiety, dealing with that is something that I talk about in this video, where I share 8 ways you can manage anxiety. So click the link to watch it next. And you'll find even more advice on managing your well-being in my weekly podcast, Let's Talk About Mental Health. It's linked in the description below. Thanks so much for joining me today. Take care and talk to you next time.